everyone, Sheree here. Today I'm going to be creating a traveller's notebook spread using some fun new stamps from Kerri Bradford Studio. I've got the fantastic new large stamps. One's called On the Grid, the other one's called Chunky Stripes, which are fantastic for backgrounds, or you can make your own journaling cards, whatever you like. I've got this one on my large block. It just hangs over the edge very slightly, but I can get away with it. And this block is about 5.5 by, what's that, 3 3/4 inches. So if you've got a stamp block around that size, you should be fine with these fantastic large stamps. Alright, the other stamp set I've got here is Hey Kiddo. I do have a couple of stamps already chosen that I'm going to use today, but as you can see, there's lots of fantastic phrases and fun things to use for your memory keeping for your kids. It's a great set to have. And I've also got the all the time set here. It's got all the months of the year, it's got the days of the week, it's also got the word today, and there's numbers down the bottom. You can also see here it's got AM and PM and the 2 little dots if you want to use those numbers for the time as well. I will be using an older stamp set too for part of my title. I've got the Brooklyn small stamp set here. As you can see, mine is very well used and I've already got the letters on my block ready to go. Okay, so I've got a few embellishments here to use. I've got my month and the year already on that block there. I've got a little tag to use. So I think I will get started and show you what I've got planned for this spread. Okay, so I'm using this Stampin' Up stamp pad to do the stamping of these big background stamps. I'm starting off with the On the Grid stamp. So I'm stamping this twice onto some plain white cardstock, and then I'm planning on cutting it out to use as my pattern papers. So I'm just going ahead and stamping it for that second time now, trying to get as much ink as I can on that stamp, and I'm really happy with how these have turned out. So next I'm going to swap the stamps over, just carefully peel that off, I don't want to tear it, and put the other Chunky Stripes stamp onto the block, and then I'm going to stamp that onto some scrap white cardstock as well. So that fits nicely onto that block, and I'm going to add my ink to that stamp. I always like to take the ink pad to the stamp instead of the other way around. I just find it a lot easier. And this one did turn out a little bit patchy, but I went ahead off camera and stamped it again, and then it turned out really great. So I've cut everything out and now I'm ready to start putting this last spread together. So I've got the grid paper going at the bottom of each of my Traveller's Notebook pages. I do like to have my Traveller's Notebook pages done separately outside the notebook, and then I stick them into my notebook. That just allows me to add things like stitching and that sort of thing before sticking it into the book. So I've got those striped pieces going across the bottom of each page, just trimming off the excess now. Okay, so that's done, and I'm just playing around with what I'm going to do next, and I've decided to add some stitching. So I've grabbed my sewing machine and done that. And now I'm going ahead and doing a little bit more stamping. So I've got the Brooklyn small alphabet stamps on this block for the word you, and that's going to form part of my title. I just stamped that onto a little white tag from my stash. And next I'm stamping another couple of phrases. This time it's the Hey Kiddo stamp from the Hey Kiddo stamp set. And then under that I've got the phrase that says boys girls rule, and you just check whichever box you want. So that's going under that, and then I'm just going to cut those ones out ready to use. Okay, so I'm ready to start putting these pages together now. So I'm just playing with where I want my photo and my title as well. I do have these other little embellishments to use. This is a little vellum frame that I want to put over the top of my photo. It was just a little bit too wide, so I'm just going to trim off some of that white around the edge. Now these embellishments are from Heidi Swap. Alright, so I'm happy with that. I'm using some really thin double-sided tape to adhere that vellum frame onto the photo, and you can't really see the double-sided tape through the vellum, which I was quite happy about. So I'm just carefully trying to line up the edges of that because it's quite flimsy. It was a little bit tricky and fiddly to stick on, but I got there in the end, and now I'm ready to stick that photo down. Okay, I've got that acetate word that's going on the side there, and I'm just using my tiny attacher to staple that into place. I do apologise, it's a little bit off camera, but you get the idea what I'm doing there. Okay, so that's now on there. I'm just adjusting the photo over just a fraction. It was covering up just the very bottom of the word. Now I've got my little tag there. I'm just adding the twine back onto the whole of that tag, and I'm just going to scrunch it up really messy style up in that top corner and staple it into place, and then I'll add some double-sided tape behind the tag just to hold it where I want it. So just sticking that one down. Okay, so now I've got this little vellum arrow. So again, just using my tiny attacher to staple that one on, and that's pointing towards that U tag. Okay, so on the other side, on the other page there, I've got my journaling printed out, so that's getting stuck down. Before I do anything else, I really want to add some stitching around the edge of that journaling. So that's now done. I've got a little tab there I'm going to add at the top, and I'm going to add the title of my journaling to that. So that's where I'm going to put the Hey Kiddo phrase that I stamped earlier. And then I do have that other girls rule piece to go underneath that. You can see that there, but then I decided I wanted to add another stamp, and so I grabbed one from the State of Mind stamp set, and that one says it's all in the attitude. There's another little circle I want to staple up in that top corner. So I'm just securing that. I've got a little bit of double-sided tape at the very bottom of that circle just to tuck it under, and then I decided to add a staple to that as well, just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so that is done. So now back to this second page. So I'm just going to go ahead and stamp that other phrase now. I'm using Stays on ink for all of my black stamping, just what I had on my desk at the time. So there's that other phrase already stamped now. I'm just going to cut that one out ready to use. Okay, so I can go ahead and stick those ones down. So I'm putting that one there, the girls rule underneath that. Okay, and now I've got my month and year, which I showed you earlier. So that's already on the stamping block there. That's from the All the Time stamp set. So that's now stamped directly onto the page. I'm just going to attach these little acetate hearts into place. So just stapling those ones on. And then I'll add more stitching to that all around the page. I added a little bit of stitching to that little tag there. And on the second page, all those stamped pieces I added some stitching to as well. So that is this spread complete. So let me know if you've got any questions. I'll leave a link to Kerri Bradford Studio down below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing how this one's come together. I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.